Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the last episode of Black Authors Matter TV before the National Black Book Festival. I'm Gwen Richardson, your host for tonight, and my co-host, Dr. Rhonda Lawson, will be joining me soon later in the show. So for those of you all who are familiar with the show and the fact that we are actually the reason we created the show from the beginning was in 2020 during the pandemic, we couldn't have the National Black Book Festival because everything was shut down. So we started the show because of that, and we did it for 2 years virtually, and then we were back with the festival in 2022, and now we're back this year for our 18th anniversary. So for those of you all who can't come out, we look forward to seeing you there. We're going to have a great show tonight with some familiar faces and some not so familiar. So we're going to start the show tonight with our first guest, and it's someone that she's new to the show. She's never been on. I've seen her work and seen her around for years and years, but we've never met face to face. As far as I know, I don't think we've ever met face to face. But she's doing a lot of great work in the literary world, and her books are creating a lot of conversations. She's creating her own lane in terms of genres, and it's all great. So we want to welcome Danielle Allen to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hello, thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. And I don't think we've ever met. Our paths may have crossed and we just didn't meet, but I don't think we've ever met.
I don't think so either. So it's good to meet you.
Yeah, have you ever met Dr. Rhonda Lawson, my co-host? Have you ever met her?
I don't think so.
Yeah, we neither of us write romance, so we operate more in like other circles that are kind of general, multi-genre. But the romance genre has really caught fire in recent years, and a lot more people are writing Black romance of all different kinds and taking different angles and creating different characters and scenarios. So tell us how you got started with romance writing.
So it was 2013 and I've always loved love. So when I was going to write my first book, I knew it was going to be a romance book, even though my favorite genre is mystery. I was just like, I want to write a love story because I wasn't seeing myself in the love stories that were out and available that I was getting my hands on. It was so I was like I wanted to write about a big bone 20 something Black woman like finding love, and I just wasn't seeing that. And so then that's when I wrote my first story, and then I was introduced to the world of indie romance. I had no clue because I was only like reading the stuff that was at the library or that so I had no idea that there were so many authors that were out here writing and they just weren't traditionally published. And so I became one of those indie authors in 2013. And so that's how I got started. I had a list of 30 things I wanted to do before I turned 30, and writing a book was number one on that list. And so that's what I did.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you what all else was on the list unless you want to share a couple of other things you wanted to do before you were 30. I think we all in our 20s have those lists. And when we're in our 20s, we don't necessarily realize that 30 will be very soon. We don't realize how soon.
Absolutely.
We're in our early 30s, that 20s, that 30 is way out there.
It's like, oh, there's time. There's time. There was no time. Like it went by quick.
So what else is on your list of what things you want to do for 30?
So the things that were on the list were I wanted to go to Italy. I had never I hadn't left like, you know, had I left the country at that time? Yes, I'd been to Mexico, but like I
Uh-huh.
hadn't been off of North America.
Right.
So I wanted to go to Italy because I love the movie Under the Tuscan Sun, and it was like this really cute love story. Like
Who's in that? I know about it, but I don't think I saw it.
I'm gonna look up her name right now because I don't remember the name of the lady.
A
But
female actress. Was it Lane? Was it that Lane
Diane
lady?
Lane, yes.
Okay, okay, all right.
And I
I
was
was picturing her face.
and it was just something about like just her just starting over in another country. I was like, ah, that's cute. And then so I was like, I want to go there. I wanted to and there I'm trying to think what else was on that list because most of the stuff that I put on the list, I didn't even get to until after I was 30. So like it just
Yeah,
but
the
one thing
30, you think when you're 20. I remember when we were in college at 19, thinking 25 was like way, way, way. So when you're 30, just seems so old. And now my daughter is 29 and she'll be 30 next May. And she's like, wow, I'm 30 already. Yeah, it comes fast. And the
it
one that comes
does.
the quick is 40 because when you're in your 20s and 30s, you can still kind of pretend like you're young. You feel like you're still young and you're going to live forever. And when you hit 40, you're like, wow, I'm 40. Okay, that means I'm going to be 50 if I keep, if I keep living. And so 40 comes quick. This is the more shocking age to me. And this is what other people that I talk to that have passed that threshold say the
Yeah,
40 is what really kind of takes you by surprise because you kind of just drifting along thinking you're going to be young forever, and then 40, bam, you're 40.
agreed. Agreed.
so so now did you have you made it to Italy? Have you had
I
the chance?
have. I've been twice and
Okay.
did not go to Tuscany either time, but I I went, I had a lovely time because I think in theory, a lot of the stuff that she did in Tuscany were things that I like I'm not into wine or just being outdoors really. And I know I don't drink wine and I don't drink coffee. And so I feel like people are
Oh.
like, "Are you a real author?" I don't drink
Well, Danielle, it was nice talking
alcohol.
to you.
Yes, that'll be my time. All right. But
But
I,
Well,
we
Tuscany is
all
an
have our
interesting
gifts.
place to go if you drink wine.
right. Like that's
Yeah.
I was seeing like there were so many like wine tours and like
Hmm.
things like that. And I was just like, I guess I'll check out Rome and Milan. And so
Rome is wonderful, and Milan is great for fashion.
yes, I enjoyed my time in Milan and in Rome, but like I never made it to Tuscany, but I was by the time I made it, I was over the movie and I mean,
Okay. Okay.
you know what I mean? So it was
It
like
was a
my
distant memory.
inspiration, the reason I put it on the list was no longer as relevant in my life. And so, but I did make it there and I'm sure I did a couple other things, but the number one thing on my list was to write a book. And so
Okay,
did that. And so
you
I was
did
like, all
that. So now you're a USA Today best-selling author. So which of your books, or if there's more than one, which book or books made the USA Today bestseller list?
so Curvy Girl Summer, which is part one in the Curve series, and
Okay.
Plus Size Player, which is part two in the Curve series. So both of my traditional books have made the list.
Okay. Okay. Now, how many books had you written, or altogether? What's your number? We asked
55.
55.
55 that are
Wow.
finished. I
I've
have,
seen your name a lot, and now I know why.
'Cause a lot of people think because the Curve series is traditionally published, I feel like a traditional publisher has more money than I do. So like I don't have the marketing um dollars to do what they would be able to do. So I feel like there are people who think that Curvy Girl Summer is my debut novel, and I'm like,
Uh-huh.
no.
Yeah, it takes 50 books to become an overnight success.
Right.
Yes, quite true. Quite true. They're gonna like, oh, she came out of nowhere.
Right. Like someone was like that was a great debut. And I was like, okay, well, it's actually been 12 years, but thank you. Thank you so much.
So did you decide you wanted to call it the Curve series, or was that something that in the collaboration with the publisher that you all came up with?
So I wanted to call it the Curve series because all of the heroines are big-bodied women, and so they all have curves, and so I wanted it to be the Curve series because the titles are there's no the unifying message in each of the titles is that they are like fat women, but there's no one word that would have like worked for all three. So
Oh,
curve was what I
okay.
put on.
Well, and that's a good one.
Yes, thank
That's a
you.
good one.
Yeah, it is a
So,
good one because
and there's
curvy doesn't necessarily mean overweight. It just means
no,
you're fine.
no.
Exactly.
It means you have some definition in the different parts
Like I
of your
said, you're
body.
fine.
Yeah.
Right.
It's
That's it.
distinguishable. So tell us about Curvy Girl Summer, which is the first one, and just give us a synopsis of that one, and then we'll move on to the plus size player. Now, the plus size player, that's the one that I've seen a ton of like ads for coming, people reading that one. But not as much for the Curvy Girl Summer. When did the Curvy Girl Summer come out?
Curvy Girl Summer came out last year. So it came out last June, and Plus Size Player came out this past June. So
Okay,
2024 for Curvy Girl Summer, 2025 for Plus Size Player. And then
okay,
Big Girl Blitz comes out April of 2026.
okay. So are these all new characters in each book,
So
or is
the
this a continuation?
three best friends, and the summers are running concurrently. So you meet Aaliyah in Curvy Girl Summer, and Aaliyah, her story is more rom-com-ish. She is turning 30 at the end of the summer, and she had been abstaining from sex and dating for 6 months, and she gets to June and she like is like, okay, I'm hot and bothered. She circles back and hits up her ex after they are finished reuniting, if you will.
Mhm.
She's like, you know what, this is exactly why I broke things off with him. Like, I don't want this. I want to find my person. So then she spends the summer like on this dating app at the instruction of like our local bartender. She had gotten stood up. The local bartender was like, "Well, have you tried like a dating app?" So she gets on Tinderfish and she is swiping through and meeting these men all throughout the summer. And one of her fears have always been like, if I go on a date, like he could put something in my drink. I could get harmed in some way. So the bartender's like, if you meet your dates here, then I'm here every Friday. I'll look out, like, I'll make sure like no one puts anything
Oh,
in your drink. I got your
okay.
back. Like now you can like, safely meet these people, but you have somebody like watching over you. And she was like, okay, I feel safe with that. So then you follow her journey as she is going on these dates all summer, trying to see if she's going to have a boyfriend. Because if she just wanted any old body to go with her to her big birthday party, she could have had that. But she wanted to find her person. She wanted to find the one. So she is dating with intention over the summer, and you get to watch that play out. And then you get to see what happens when her birthday comes. And the book ends at the end of August on her birthday. Plus size player, that story is Nina. So there's three best friends, Leah, Nina, and Jasmine. Nina's story starts at the beginning of August of the same summer
Oh,
and
okay.
runs through the middle of September. So for people who started with plus size player, they get a little bit of a spoiler because all of the girls they go to Aaliyah's birthday party. So you get to see that they are all with someone. Um, but you don't know exactly who if you read in the correct order. But for the people who read the second one first, then they are like seeing who Aaliyah ends up going to the party with, and then they get more on Nina's story. And it ends middle of September, where Fashion Week time is happening because Nina's a model. Um, so then in Jazz's book, Big Girl Blitz, that starts technically at the beginning of June. So you get, or the middle of June, you get to see why Jasmine was away all summer because you know from Aaliyah and Nina's point of views in their books that Jasmine's away and that she's having a rough time. She's having a rough summer. So you get to see what happened with Jasmine and why she was in such a bad place. And then you also get to see from Aaliyah's birthday party when she comes back to town through, let's say, October, but the end of the year, we'll say that.
Okay.
Um, and book three, there are a lot of sport. Like you can't start with book three. You
Mhm.
have to, like, even I don't like it if people start with plus size player, but you technically can and then go back to Aaliyah's story. But book three, you absolutely cannot read that one first
Mhm.
because you get to see Aaliyah and who she ended up with, Nina and who she ended up with, and then Jasmine, you get to see how her story plays out. So the reason Aaliyah's story ends when it does, and the reason Nina's story ends when it does, is because you get more of them in Jasmine's story with their people. And so
Well, well,
that's
you
how
have
that.
answered the social book club's question because just as you were about to give your explanation, the social book club asked if the books could be done separately or is it not suggested? And then you just said you can't read book three first.
You cannot. My preference is for it to be read in order. So Curvy Girl Summer and then Plus Size Player and then Big Girl Blitz. And so Blitz takes you through the fall. And so you get to see the summer and the fall in Jasmine's book. And then in Aaliyah's book, it's the summer and then in Nina's book, it's late summer, about to be fall.
That
Yeah. So once you got traditionally published, were you able to bring your readers with you? Um, the people had been who have been following you all along with all the books that you had written before. Were you
Yes.
able to bring those people with you as you traditionally publish? And I'm thinking yes, because of the number of reviews, which is a good, but really a good sign of book sales.
It was, yes. I feel like because I have been blessed to get with the publishing company that I'm with. So I'm with Bramble, and they didn't ask me to change my voice. So
good.
if you read Insta Love, I wrote that at the same time as I was writing Curvy Girl Summer. And it's still me. Like there's no difference in how I am being asked to tell my stories. So I feel like it was an easy transition for the readers that I have because it's not as if my voice has been watered down or changed to to be traditionally published. So I was fortunate enough to be able to bring the readers that I had with me on this journey.
Okay. Now, you mentioned that the dating app was Tinderfish. See, I was listening when you were talking. And now, was that like a combination of Tinder and Catfish?
No,
is
not Tinder and catfish. Tinder and plenty of, I think it's
plenty
called
of
Plenty of
fish?
Fish.
Well, it's also catfishing too. I was
Yeah, but
thinking,
that's not a dating
I
app.
know it's not a dating app, but she could have taken the fish from that, and it could have been something that happened in the storyline that was kind of like catfishing.
N-
But
I
I have two people that I know that got met people and got married on Plenty of Fish.
Oh, really? I love that.
Hmm. Hmm.
I have friends and I know people who met their partners on different dating apps and it's worked out very, very well for them. The so in the book Disasters in Dating, um, I can't remember what year I published that. Maybe 2017, maybe. But the dating app that they used was called Tinderfish, and it's spelled like Tinder, not like
Like
the dating app
fire
Tinder,
tender.
but like if your meat was Tinder,
Oh,
if
okay.
so like
Oh,
Tender fish.
okay.
And so it's a play on, but it is a play on like
Okay.
Tinder and Plenty of Fish. But
Okay.
so yeah, it was a dating app that I had created in the book, in the Disasters in Dating books, and I just brought it back for this.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
Um,
people who are familiar with your earlier work will recognize the app.
Yes, and they also all of my characters except for one of them, uh, they all either graduated from um like Hamilton University. Like they either graduated from Hamilton, they went to Hamilton to work, or they like so it's a fictional university that I've created in my world that
okay.
that's in Richland, Maryland, and which is also a fictional city. And everybody in my catalog, they either lived in Richland, they went to Hamilton University, either
Okay.
graduated, they worked there. They have some affiliation with Hamilton University. So so readers who have read my stuff would not be surprised to see Hamilton University alumni all throughout.
From a fictitious graduates. Do they have a reunion?
So not
Okay.
necessarily a reunion yet, but
Okay.
Big Nick Energy is a homecoming, a HU homecoming story that came out last year, and there were a number of people from Pat, like the main characters are new characters, but because they're at homecoming and they're going to different events, when they're at these events, some of the people who are speaking are characters who were in other books. And so I wanted it to feel like a homecoming for the reader too, because then they're reading and then they're like, oh wait, that's that person from Continuum, or that's that person from Sweatpants season. And so that's how I wanted it to come across.
Okay. Well, it sounds like you put a lot of thought into um making your books
Yes.
continuous
Yeah,
to where
that's what
the
I was about to
reader.
say. I love it's not like totally continuous, but just
Right.
those callbacks to earlier
Yeah.
books.
Yes.
Hmm.
It makes it more fun for the readers who have been following you for a long time.
Yes. 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 And it makes me happy because I dedicated Big Nick Energy to like my readers because I felt like I wouldn't have been able to even like continue in this way if it wasn't for if it wasn't for the readership. And so I am greatly appreciative. Everyone who's ever purchased the book, read it and reviewed it, like all of that, like I so thankful. So it was like I know people who've been rocking with me will get a kick out of this. And it was fun to write too. It made me I did have to go back and okay, wait, where did they I knew they worked at a specific thing, but like I wasn't completely like 100% because it's been some years. So I'm like, okay, let me go back to see what the name of their clothing company was or what the name of like
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to refer back to the previous books
yes.
when you were weaving a story together where you're keeping the same settings and all that. Because you don't want
Absolutely.
to make something that's different because readers will point it out to
Absolutely. And
you.
so
They pay attention to the details. I mean,
absolutely. So
when I meet with book clubs and they'll tell me one person actually found a mistake in the person who was speaking that didn't get caught in the 3 different edits
oh,
that the book underwent. But fortunately, because it's on Kindle on KDP, I was able to fix it and just
Right. And just upload it again.
re-upload the new one. It was and
exactly.
I missed it, and I have a very meticulous editor, and she missed it. But one of the readers in the book club that read the book pointed it out, and then everybody in the meeting was like, "Okay, what do you mean?" And we went to that page, and sure enough, it was a different person speaking than it was supposed to be. And so, but that's right. Readers, they read. They really.
Exactly. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like human error, like I feel like
Yeah.
if you especially when you wrote it, you
Yes,
knew
you
what it's
can read
supposed to
over it.
be. So
Right.
like
Right,
and
exactly.
and it's
Well,
And
like
you
your
read
eyes know
over it.
what's supposed to be there,
Right,
so they
right.
overlook it.
So your mind plays a trick on you. You don't recognize that it's an error. And that's why you can't edit your own work.
yes.
Even if you are an editor, if I edit books. Well, I don't now, but I spent years editing people's books. But I don't try to edit my own because you're too close to it.
Absolutely.
Now
Absolutely.
your Big Girl Blitz book comes out in April,
Yeah.
so that's the one that is going to bring a lot of the information together in the current series.
I feel
So,
like you'll get to see glimpses of what happens after the first two books end. And so, because
okay.
there's scenes that I had to cut out because the book was too long. Um, so there,
Oh, okay.
but you do get to see glimpses of what happened after the first two books ended, and I think that's a good time.
Okay. I have a question about what before the current series, which of your books was the bestseller that you could, if you have one in particular that stands out among your 50 books?
Um, I feel like that's I guess
Hard to
Truth or
say.
Dare did really, really well when it came out. That came out in 2020 because that was COVID time,
Mhm.
the height of COVID when I wrote that. And I think because um it was Friends to Lovers, it was vacation, it was a good time. It was fun to write and I feel like because of the time that we were in, it felt like a vacation because I know I needed one, so I wrote it like that. And then people who read it said that they felt like they were vacationing too.
Yeah, because
Um,
that was when no vacations were happening.
exactly,
So
exactly.
it was good to read about one that you could plan on when the pandemic was over. A lot
Exactly.
of books came out of the pandemic. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can't tell you the numbers of people that have been on the show that wrote a book during the pandemic. I wrote a book during the pandemic, so
Right.
um,
Because I feel like
but
The book during the
we
pandemic.
can go
yeah,
out.
because we had time.
Right. Like we couldn't go outside. So
I
like
didn't have that much time. The problem was during the pandemic, we were working from home, and I guess everybody felt like, oh, because you're working from home, you don't have to go into the office. You can put in longer off hours now, or
Oh,
now you have more time to do this volunteer project that we've been putting off. Or Why don't we start a business? Next thing you know, all that free time you thought you had was winds up
gone.
being eaten up.
and then we started the show. So that
See?
gave you another assignment. We started the show in July of 2020. So a lot of things happened during that time. And, you know, we probably would not have started this show had it not been for the pandemic because we wouldn't have thought about it, you know.
I feel like there were
So
a lot of good things that came out of us having a little extra time and having to pause. And so
Yeah.
it
yes,
was
yes,
definitely trying times, but having to pause is so necessary. So like I feel like look what you all like were able to do. Y'all paused and then like something great came out of it. So
I agree with that. That is
yeah.
quite true.
Well, we're at the end of our time. It really went by fast.
it did.
So, just in the short time we have left, let people know how they can connect with you on your name is on the screen. So, how they can connect with you via social media or your websites or
So
what.
my website is authordanielleallen.com. I do not keep that up like I should, so follow me on social media. So it's at author Daniel Allen on TikTok, on Instagram, Facebook. It's Facebook author Daniel Allen or Daniel Allen author. So one is my like friend page, the other one is my like page.
Okay.
I have a group on Facebook that's called By Danielle Allen. You can join the group. Sometimes random shenanigans there. I have a Patreon that's called The Art of Being Danielle. And I'm trying to make sure I'm giving that correct because I don't promote that enough. Um, but yeah, like The Art of Being Danielle. And that I have interviews on there, I have random updates, and it's been a busy season. So the next one that's coming up will be November 1st. And yeah, I feel like TikTok. I'm on like Blue Sky, but
Yeah, I'm on Blue Sky, but I'm on it, but I'm not on it.
same. And so I want to say that my name there is just Danielle Allen, but when I remember I do post there, but like usually if you want to keep up with me, I'm on Instagram, my Facebook group, Patreon, or TikTok.
Yeah, it's hard to keep up with all those different places.
Mm.
And some came out of a reaction to Twitter, but it's hard to people's habits are hard to break, and people have a habit of going to certain sites, and it's hard to for them to start going somewhere else. It's hard to migrate all those people. So, but anyway, Danielle, it was great talking to you. Glad we had a chance to meet virtually, and hopefully we'll have
Absolutely.
a chance to meet in person at some point in the future.
I hope so too. Thank y'all so much for having me. It was a good time, and it really did fly by.
Yeah, it does. Okay, thank you again. Have a great night.
Thank you, y'all too.
You
Bye.
too. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. So we are. I'm glad Rhonda was able to come on the show. We had
Yeah, I
she.
was having trouble with my Zoom. Sorry.
Well, that had last week. Yeah, I told you all of my Zoom. The whole show was
Yeah.
erased for the whole 3 years. I had booked. I had put it up to 2028, and it was all gone. I had to start over. But I'm glad uh, that nothing else happened. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, yeah,
it was
that's
something I
true.
could easily do, but it was, you know how I'm not good at when there's a problem. I like stuff to go like I want it to go, and I can regroup, but I get frustrated. So, our next guest is going to be at the National Black Book Festival, and she's doing us one of the seminars that we have scheduled for Saturday. So she's going to come on and talk about her work and what she's going to be a little bit a snippet of what she's going to be doing in her seminar, so people can attend and meet her and learn about her books. So Tammi, or Dr. Tammi Fleming, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here. Hi, Dr. Rhonda. I see you.
Hey, Dr. Tammi.
We've talked a couple of times, Gwen, but it is such a pleasure to be here, and thank you for having me. Thank you, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. So tell us about just Dr. Tammi and your how you got to be where you are now, telling people about leadership.
Okay, so first of all, I am Tammi. I am Dr. Tammi. I am Coach T. I'm a mother. I'm an author and entrepreneur. But most of all, I'm a Black woman who've overcome a lot of detours. And I've been able to reframe those setbacks in terms of my career and think about them now as setups. Every setback that we have could actually be a place for us to pause, pivot, and really to recalibrate and start again. And a lot of times it allows us to build resilience, to build new skills, and to see ourselves in a different light. So I think in my executive coaching work that I do at Diamond Consultants, I think about all of the folks who come to me to really help them think through their setbacks as really opportunities for setup, and to really think about where your destination, where life is leading you in terms of your destination.
Yes.
Well, every successful person has had failures. You know, they talk about, as I've been an entrepreneur for many years, since I was in my early 20s, people talk about how successful business people, a lot of them end up having bankruptcies, they have failed businesses. You know, it takes some tries for them to get it right. And so if you don't take a chance and try to make something work, then you'll never know if you can do it or not.
Right. I think your last guest actually talked about this when we talked about this idea of folks thinking that that last book was her first entree and she had already written 50 books, right? So the idea that success is overnight is really a farce, and we believe that. And if we could really reframe that and think about, every successful person, and I don't like to think of them as like setbacks. They're really setups. They're really opportunities for us to pivot and pause. And as I write in a book, I talk about the different pathways and the different detours that I took on my journey. And guess what? If I hadn't had those detours, I wouldn't be the entrepreneur I am today. I wouldn't be the executive coach I am today. I wouldn't have written my first book that launched as a bestseller on Amazon today if I would not had those setups, that those opportunities for me to stop, pause, pivot, and start again. That's all we have to do is start again and take from our learnings.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we talked about this before, but um, often when it's happening to us, we don't see it with the clarity in which you just spoke it. That sometimes has to come later. We have to step back and take a look at it. So, can we talk about what was your process of just stepping back and taking a look and saying, what I thought was a setback was a setup. What I thought was a curse was actually a blessing. How long did it take for you to actually realize that?
Oh my God, Dr. Rhonda. So talk about hindsight being 2020, right? Because in the middle of it, we're really functioning from an emotional standpoint. What the heck is happening here? Why am I being overlooked? Why am I not getting that position? But a lot of times, if you could just recapture yourself, recalibrate, and think through it. Sometimes those were blessings in disguise, but in a moment you don't feel that way, right? So what
Mm-hmm.
I do in the book is really talk about this idea of what emotional intelligence really is, what it means to have some insight into what's happening with us on a day-to-day basis. Because if we're operating with our emotional self, it doesn't align with our logical self. So those two things don't work together well. So you either, a lot of times, if you can balance it, it's well. But a lot of times we're all the way on one end where we're focusing on what it makes us feel like versus what it really is. And I
Right.
talk about this tool I use, and I learned this through my executive coach, the three tools framework, where you tell three different stories. There's the story you would tell right now, there's the story the other person will tell, and there's the truth somewhere in the middle.
Yes.
So that truth usually sort of outlines like some of that emotional stuff we're carrying around from our perspective, right? So truth is very relative in these days, and you have to really think about what is it that I would tell from my perspective? What would that other person tell? What story would they tell about what just happened? And then you can try and find the truth somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, sometimes when things happen, it takes years before you can really appreciate the setback and the come up or set up for a comeback. Uh, and because of the emotional connection, but also at the time you may have gone through something, you don't realize that there's a tomorrow or there's a next month or there's next year. I'm just gonna, and I don't do a lot of sharing on the show as far as, but what you said brought something to my memory. And years ago, see, this is years ago, so I can talk about it. But years ago, when we first started CushCity.com, which is the company, the parent company for the festival and the show and everything. So it was during the early days of the internet when everything was just like the internet was booming. Every like people were getting money left and right for different things. So we were offered $1 million investment, and we went through all the screening and paperwork and background checks and all of that. And we had a contract with the company that was going to invest $1 million. And then 6 days before the deal was to close, they said they changed their minds and they weren't going to do the deal. And so at the time, I was really devastated. I felt like I had been punched in the stomach, just the way that it happened. But then what actually turned out to be a blessing, because a year after that, and I'll say the company because they no longer exist. The company was Enron.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Enron, that the big, they were like the Houston company, $1 billion, billions of dollars. And they went under a year after that. And if they had bought the majority, they were going to buy a majority ownership in our company. If they had done that, we would have gone under with Enron and also been tarnished. Our reputations would have had the stink of Enron.
Right. Yeah.
So at
Yeah.
the time, I was really upset. I was really too devastated to even cry. Because I had already started spending the $1 million, in my mind,
Uh-huh.
Um,
At least it
but
was just in your mind.
Yeah, I know.
we didn't actually have it. We were supposed to get it. But that's an example of how something can seem to be a horrible thing, but then it ends up being a blessing. Later on, you realize what a blessing it was, because when they tanked, it was precipitous. It was like overnight. One
Yeah.
day they were on top of the world, and the next day they were closing their doors, and the employees were all taking their belongings out in boxes. So that's just a story. I'm thinking of writing a book about some of just the pivotal points in my life. Not a biography, not a memoir, but I have had some really interesting experiences. So in
Well,
business, being in business for so long, I've had some interesting experiences.
like you said, it's like a blessing in disguise. And I see Coach G, Gary McCarter is saying that it's a blessing in disguise. Like sometimes when you don't get what you think you want, you don't get what you want, you're gonna get what you need, right?
Right.
So
Mhm.
as I talk about in the book, there were a lot of opportunities that I thought were, when I thought I landed the dream job, I was making the money. I had a national platform. I was traveling on the company, all of those things. But it caused me to have to dim my light, right? So I had to dim my light because it was really about the organization. Not that the work of the organization wasn't important. It is still in my heart right now. But the way the organization functioned and the way the organization made me feel was really, it wasn't cool. Let me just say it like that. So in the book, I talk a lot about the individual work, but I also talk about some of the systemic barriers that we, particularly as Black women or women of color, have to deal with. And I think that every Black professional woman would sort of relate to what's in this book, but I also think a lot of our allies could benefit from the book, especially as I dive into talking about imposter syndrome and really trying to identify the behaviors so they know that it's not just about imposter syndrome. It's about those systems that make us feel like we have to keep proving that we belong over and over and over again. And once we do it, we have to prove it a little bit more. So it's about those imposter systems that we're placed in and we're working and we're trying to accelerate and move forward and we're not allowed to. But I think another piece of that is, and Dr. Rhonda, you and I got a chance to talk about this last week, is that
Hmm.
there's a difference between being seen as a technical expert, which a lot of women of color are pegged as the go-to, the
Right.
closer, the fixer, but we always fall short of getting those positions, VP, executive director, presidents. And a lot of us do get it. Don't get me wrong, but there's a lot of us who are stuck in the middle, and we don't understand that there's a gap, what I call the leadership gap, between being seen as a technical expert and being seen as a leader. And there are two different skill sets, and one, you do need those technical experts to be those technical skills to be seen, but it doesn't
Hmm.
make you a leader. It does not make
It
you a leader.
just it just makes you good at what you do. It doesn't actually make you a leader.
Mhm.
Makes you good at what you do, makes you the worker bee. And what
Mhm.
we tend to do is we reinforce that by we continuing to get skilled up. We get more training, we get more skills. We believe in the old adage of the way we were raised, we have to run faster, work harder, do more. And what it looks like is that we're continuously being the worker bee and we're
Right.
seen that way, and that is not a leader.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
that reminds me of people who say that they worked in a company for a long time and then they end up hiring and training. Well, they end up training the person that ends up being their boss or that takes their place
Yeah.
eventually. So, that's part of being just really good at doing a certain thing. But and you I guess I've never worked in corporate, so I've been an entrepreneur, but a lot of what you do is you can't wait for somebody to suggest you to be in a leadership role. Sometimes you have to even create your own opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to step into leadership. And what I say in the book is, leadership is less about doing and more about being, right? So how do you step into the role of a leader And really, that's more internal work. And what I think a lot of us do, especially high achieving Black women, we tend to try to focus on the external forces. We get more trainings. We are more credentialed than
Hmm.
anybody in the workplace. We have more letters
The
in our
highest educated of all the races.
of all the races, right? And we continue to do that. But leadership is more about some of that internal work. How do you actually feel and exude your presence? How do you own it when you walk in a room? And what we had a chance to talk about, Gwen, last week was the fact that when you're in a room, your presence is known. But when you have executive presence, when you're not in a room, that's also noticed, right? Because people are looking for your energy and making sure your voice is at the table, that you are visible. And I talk about this idea of voice, visibility, and vibe. That's the way I would describe executive presence.
I
Not with
still love that voice, visibility, and vibe.
voice, visibility,
I
vibe.
love a good alliteration.
Yes, yeah, it's like that's what I think, like our ability, the way we say things, what it is we say, how we own our storytelling, that is a skill that we have. And the way you show up, and your vibe, your energy, what is it giving off? And for me, in the book, one of the things I do, there's a really good balance, I think, between saying what we have to do and what the systems have to do. So I owned a lot of my stuff. Like I have to own that I had to deal with imposter syndrome. I had to deal with this idea of professionalism that I was holding on to. And that professionalism was what we talked about, Dr. Rhonda, in your dissertation in terms of Black women being pegged a certain way in systems.
Hmm.
But it's because we hold on to this notion of what it means to be professional, and it doesn't allow us to be our authentic self, right? So, what is
Right.
authenticity? And at its root, it's about us being truthful and honoring our emotions, honoring our goofiness. I'm the goofiest person you will ever see. Love having fun and enjoying myself and enjoying people around me. But in the professional settings, I was stiff. I was seen as cold, and I can see that now. But I'm 54, girl. I'm just learning this stuff. It takes a while. You talk about a few years. It took decades for me to get that.
Yeah,
But you got there.
leadership is also about delegating. A lot of people aren't comfortable delegating, but you have to delegate if you're in a leadership role. And you have to be comfortable telling people what to do. And you have to be comfortable with there being I don't want to say a barrier, but when you are leading people and you are managing people and you're in charge, you have to be comfortable making decisions and you have to treat everybody with respect. But you have to just make a decision, be good with it, and you get better at it as you uh, advance because you start seeing similar things. You know, you start seeing situations that you've seen before. So you know how something's going to turn out if you make this decision versus another one. And you know, there's nothing new under the sun. That's what I'm but you start seeing repeat situations and behaviors. You do get some new ones, I will say, with our event being 18 years old. Uh,
Mm,
every every year the pattern is the same. The
mm,
crazy stuff happens in the last month. The really crazy stuff happens in the last 2 weeks. And
mm.
it's never exactly the same, but I know it's going to be crazy stuff happening. So I'm ready for it, but I still get somewhat surprised just some of the new crazy. You just
Isn't that the,
never know.
isn't that one of the fabulous things about leadership? We talk about technical leadership and adaptive, those things that you can predict And there are things that you cannot predict. And one of the things I would think about is as we think about being, I think there's a difference between being a boss and being a leader. And early in my
There is.
career, I
Yes.
was a boss. I was ready. I was holding on to, look, I'm the boss, I'm the supervisor, I'm gonna tell you what to do. But what I know now is that if I can motivate people to do what they know they need to do,
Right.
then that's a totally different thing than me telling you to do it my way because there's 50 million ways to do the same thing, and my way is only one way. And if I can honor and respect that, there are people who work with me, who work alongside of me, above me, and beneath me, who have different ways of accomplishing the same thing. But that is the difference between a boss and a leader. And then, secondly, is there are things that you can predict, but as a leader, hey, I'm gonna predict that there's some stuff that's gonna be crazy, and some of that I can
Mm-hmm.
own, and some of that I gotta work my way through in a moment. That is what true leadership is about. And I think this book really addresses a lot of that.
Yeah. And you need to be able to recognize people's talents.
Yes.
Everybody has different skills or different things they lean toward, just different talents that they have. Um, and when I went to college at first, I thought I was going to be in nursing. But I quickly found out that that was not my personality. It was not for me. Uh, I can't take care of strangers. I can take care of family members and loved ones, but touching a stranger, I just couldn't do it. And that's when I switched, when I had to go into the hospital and actually touch a stranger. And so, but I should have been in the business school all along. I just had to find the point where I needed to make my pivot and still get out in 4 years. And so, don't be afraid to make a change, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Yeah.
so you can do something that really makes you happy, that really makes you use your best skills to shine yourself.
Right. So sometimes, if you think about the detours, sometimes we're, like you said in the beginning of this conversation, we are taking them as setbacks. But a lot of times, those are opportunities for us to pause, to pivot, and to go a different way because maybe that's not where we should have been heading in the beginning. So, nursing, if you would have kept going on with nursing, you wouldn't be in the 18th year of the
No, I would
nominal.
have been I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have been so miserable. I would be no good at it. And I don't like doing things I'm not good at. That's
That's
one thing. If I try something once or twice and I don't get it, I don't have to master it, but I have to see that I can master it, then I move on. This is not I just some people are good at just keeping going until they get it like for long, 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 long time. No, if I'm going to be good at it, I figure I'm going to pick it up pretty quick.
quickly.
But
Yeah.
well, Dr. Tammy, I can definitely see why your book debuted at number one because you are, and just like Gary McCarter said in the Gary McCarter said in the comments, come on, dropping jewels, Tammy. But you are absolutely dropping some jewels tonight. And if you are doing it within your talk right now, I'm quite sure those jewels are in the book.
Yes.
Now, you're going to have a seminar at the festival.
Yay!
Okay.
I am.
So, what will people be able to do in your seminar? Of course,
Yeah.
they can get your book and learn, but what are some of the like? You have any exercises that you do, or just not physical exercises? You know what I mean? So, just give a little rundown about what you're going to do in your seminar.
Of course, I'm still working it because I'm a perfectionist. But guys, if you're listening in, the National Black Book Festival is this weekend, Thursday, October the 23rd through Saturday, the 25th. And on Saturday, we are having a seminar where I am leading, thinking about successes, setbacks, as setups for success. And we're going to really think about ideas like voice, visibility, and vibe. And we're going to do some interactive activities. I'm bringing handouts and tools to really think about the next 30 days. what you can do as an individual to really increase your voice visibility and vibe, and what it means to step back. Because a lot of us are technical experts and we're seen that way. And if we want to be seen as leaders, you have to step back from that role and then you have to step up to being a leader and what that looks like. So I'm very excited about Saturday, 12 noon. I do have a vendor's table, so I'll be there selling books. And my twin daughters are joining me. So,
Yeah,
Rhonda, you'll
that's
get to meet
nice.
them.
Oh,
They are
Family
joining.
affair.
Yes, it's a family affair. They will be joining me to help me out a little bit, but I'm very excited about your 18 years of success. I'm looking forward to joining all the other authors and having a great time at the event.
okay. Well, we look forward to seeing you. And now, where do you live? Where are you traveling
I
from?
am in Sharon Hill, Pennsylvania. I'm originally from New Orleans. Nola is in the
Oh,
house. I'm looking at
okay.
people online.
Okay. All
New
right.
Orleans,
Come
yeah.
on, Nola.
Yes.
Did I tell you I'm from? You know I'm from New
Yes,
Orleans,
I know
Candy.
you. I
Yeah.
follow both of you. I follow the great work that both of you are doing. And again, I just want to thank you because it's not only uplifting your platform, but it helps other authors like me. I'm a first-time author. And Dr. Rhonda, I went through your course on the 8 tips of taking advantage of my 5 minutes of fame. I hope you can see I've taken it all seriously. I've taken it seriously. And all the tools that both of you are offering to authors, it's just been really wonderful to follow your lead.
Thank
Oh,
you.
thank
Thank you
you.
so
We
much. We
appreciate that.
appreciate the support and the kind words.
Yes. Okay. Well, we'll see you this weekend and take care. Have safe travels to Houston. And we look forward to it.
Thank you. Talk soon.
Okay. All right. So our next guest is actually uh I've been seeing her work online for years
Yeah, me
and
too.
her organization. And I wanted to know, well, how did she get this started and build it up and be consistent with it? So our next guest is she informed me that she has a new title of doctor. So I didn't know that before, but Dr. Kim Oglesby is joining us, and she is the founder of the Black Authors Association. And I don't know if it's an online group only or if it's in person or exactly what goes on with it, but she has a lot of people in her group, so thousands. So Dr. Kim,
Hi, how are
welcome
you?
welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for welcoming me. I appreciate you.
Okay, so tell us about you first. Are you an author? And was that what led you to start the organization, or just what was your motivation?
Yes, I am an author. I actually have 2 books, working on my third. But actually what started me from working with the organization. I was a publicist for a Christian author, and we were out and about, and someone said, "There's no Black authors. It's nice to finally see one." And I was like, yes, there are.
Right.
I was like, there is plenty of them. No, and this person really disputed me in saying that there's no Black authors. Every time I go to the store, it's hard to find them. They're not in the library. So I decided to prove that person wrong and created a Facebook group called Black Authors Association. And this grew from not only becoming a Facebook group, but a community. We do different events. And then to help Black authors get more exposure, we added the magazine concept to it. That way they can be able to get to different outlets from schools to libraries and things of that sort. So it pretty much grew from someone telling me that we don't exist. So I was like, yes, we do. And I'm with one now. So no, that's not possible.
Love it.
Yeah, sometimes those people telling you you can't do something, that's a great motivation.
Oh, it
Uh,
was.
I've used that over my life numerous times actually. So it's actually is really good motivation. So how many because I haven't looked lately, but at your Black Authors Association Facebook page, how many do you have in the group now?
Actually, we are up to like almost 22,000,
That's
and
amazing.
I knew it was a lot.
yeah, and
Mm,
at first I was like, oh, I just need 10,000, it'll be fine. Because I tried to be a little bit intimate with the authors there, giving them the resources that they need. Honestly, it was built on four pillars for me. I wanted to make sure that authors had education, whether it's helping to build their platform or
mhm.
knowing what's going on out beyond what they're doing. Because a lot of times they write the book and they don't know what's next. So I wanted to make sure they were educated. And then I created really for them to collaborate, because a lot of times we think it's just only me. Where are we at? Who else is doing this? And, the platform gives them opportunity to collaborate. If there's something that you don't know, do not create the wheel because it's already been done. Ask the question, post it, and someone will reach out to you. So that's the great thing about the group as well. And then the visibility. One of the things, I worked as a consultant as a nonprofit, and this nonprofit received a grant, and they was like, well, I only want you to buy books from Black authors. So I went on a group and said, hey, I need to buy 100 books and this nonprofit is going to pay you. So it was great to see authors just posting their books and their covers and their links, and that link actually helped other people know about other authors. So the visibility, and then equity. A lot of times you go to all these book fairs and you may see one Black author way back in the corner. So what we do, we reach out to those book fairs, we reach out to these events and say, hey, do you have a space? And if you do, okay, we'll pay for it, but we're going to place an author in that space. And it's going to be a Black author, and they're going to sell their books. So we make sure we have equity in what we're doing as well and outside.
Wonderful.
Mhm. Yeah, our Facebook page for the book festival, we have almost 100,000. But when we post something, uh, we get snarky comments, and so sometimes somebody will say, "Well, when is the National White Book Festival?" And sometimes, if I'm really in a uh, comical mood, I will say every week, because all of them are white, and they might have one or two Black people, but that doesn't make them not white. You know what I mean?
Right,
They don't have
exactly.
white in the name of the event, but
Mhm.
that's essentially what it is. And just because you invite one or two Black people doesn't change that. So,
Exactly.
trying to explain that to somebody that's just being stupid, but sometimes I do respond. And our event is a cultural event as well,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
so it's not racial, it's
Mm-mm.
cultural. And
Mm-mm.
so it's multi-genre. Normally, a lot of times, a lot of the book events that are African American are in one specific genre. It
Right.
might be urban, or it might be romance, or
Mm.
whatever, and or children's, but ours
Right.
has all of them. Then we
Yeah.
don't have about 20 genres
Mm-hmm.
represented. And people say, well, I didn't know there were Black authors writing all these different books. You know, they just think it's one or two. They hear about Terry McMillan, or, they
Yeah.
hear about Eric Jerome Dickey, who's now passed, but they'll hear about one or
Yes.
two people, and they don't have any idea that there are a lot of Black authors selling
Yeah.
a lot
Mm-hmm.
of books.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly.
So, do you
So,
have any requirements for being part of your organization? Black
honestly,
authors.
no. One of the things is just being respectful. That's one of the things, again, and also participating if you can, and sharing information. I mean, honestly, that's the only thing. People say, well, do I have to be Black to join? No, not necessarily. It's open to everyone. But again, make known that it is the Black Authors Association, and things
Mhm.
that are posted are geared to that targeted audience, unfortunately. So, just be mindful of that. But anyone's open to join. We do screen everyone that we select to be part of the group. So we're really, really selective of that. You just can't click to join a group. No, we
Okay.
go through, we verify and make sure you're in the country. And we tell people, if you're in Europe and Africa, it's not going to benefit you because again, our targeted audience is US and it's for Black authors.
But it's good that you have those parameters because sometimes people want to take everybody just so they can see they have the numbers.
Or
And
buy.
what happens is they're not a service. They wind up not being
Right,
a service for the people that they say they want to be a service to.
right,
Mhm.
right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of people just that join just to post their books?
Yes, we do. Again, you got to get verified first. So, um, when we first started, it was like, oh, it's so wonderful. Let everybody post. We learned the hard way, and I'm like, okay, I'm in school. I can't monitor this every day, so let's lock it down. So, we do have a great social media manager, but we do have some systems in place but we do allow people to post their books. We encourage them to. And then we give you, certain days where you can definitely just post. But we
Okay.
monitor the Facebook group because we don't want it to be too spammy as well.
You want people to pour in just as much as
Yeah,
they're taking out.
exactly. And then I have some great authors that say, Kim, we need to purge the group, and I'm like, okay, we're purging because they're getting messages that they're not, getting spam messenger. So we
Okay.
do have some great authors that really communicate with us, let us know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, I think every page gets that. And people
Hmm.
who uh I just get a lot of emails from people claiming to be Meta and saying that my page is
Oh
violating
yes.
policy. And those are all spam. I just want to tell people
Hmm.
if you get that
Yes,
message, it's spam. Meta
it's
doesn't do
been.
that.
No, no.
Yeah,
And
I ignore it. And
yeah,
the
Yeah,
thing is, if Facebook wants to reach out to you, they know how to reach out to you.
they do.
exactly.
Mhm.
I've had Facebook put banners across my personal page. They send me an email, they send me a DM, and they
Hmm.
send, if it's really Facebook, you'll know it's Facebook.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Mhm. So, how do you said you do things like you have things where you get together with people. How do you manage that? Like, because I assume you have people that are all over. Do you have people in all 50 states or
Yes, we do, and that's a really awesome thing.
okay?
Um, and we did honestly, that's one of my favorite times when we post like roll call, like where you at, where you at. So,
Mhm.
and we have people in all 50 states. I was like, there is actually Black authors in South Dakota and North Dakota. Y'all go ahead. They're there. But we
It's
do
a
have
lot of
people
jobs in those places. It's a lot of
exactly.
companies move there because of the space and the cheap land, and
Hmm.
they pay well.
Yes, they
Yeah.
do.
You just have
So
to have winter time for 10 months out of the year, but uh if you can manage that, and sometimes you can work somewhere for a couple of years and make enough money to where then you can move to where you really want to be.
that's true. That is true.
So when you
So.
all get together physically, like in person, how do you organize that? How do you manage that?
Well, we do have book fairs here in Philadelphia. I'm located in Philly, so we do
Okay.
have book fairs in Philly, and then we have some author nights. The book fairs is where it is supposed to be a book fair, but it's really honestly for them to get together and share different things and figure out, who's doing what, how they can collaborate. And they support, authors support each other, they buy each other books and it really honestly is really nice to see because you may have that first time author sitting there at their table nervous, but then everyone comes and
Hmm.
say, hey, how are you? And it kind of helps them
It makes
realize
them
it's
feel better.
okay. Yeah, it does. So we have book fairs every year. We're actually planning for our summer one. And then we also, like I said, we have different author events throughout the year.
Okay. Now, do you know Richard Ashby?
Yes, I do know Mr. Richard.
Who doesn't know Richard Ashby?
Yeah, he's in Philly, and that's why I wanted. Now, interestingly, I got a call this morning. Like especially when it gets close to the festival, we get all kinds of calls. But this one was because you're in Philly. I'm going to scroll back through my phone calls and see if I can identify this particular young man. He called and said they had acquired some rare books by Black authors, like books that might be of value. They might first edition books and things like that. And he was with a nonprofit, but he didn't know what to do with the books.
Okay.
He was asking me, and I said, well, I'm in Houston. If I were you, I would start locally. That's where you should start, And so, if you don't mind, I may DM you his information, because he really was seeking some answers, and he's in Philly.
Okay.
But he said they had major books, and they wanted to know what to do with them, and they, and so I told him to start locally. So see, this is serendipitous.
Yes. I mean, honestly, yeah, definitely sending my way. One of the things that we do, we place books in bookstores and libraries, not only public libraries, but school libraries. So, depending on what he wants to do with them, we'll work with him and figure it out for sure.
Okay. All right. That's wonderful. I love connecting people together. So, it's a lot in Philly.
Genuinely like to help. You're not gatekeeping. You're not, and don't get me wrong. I know we use gatekeeping as such a bad term because, and we only call people gatekeepers when they don't want to give all of their knowledge away for free. We expect them to starve while you eat, but there are just some people who don't want to tell people anything and don't want to help them. And I'm just glad to know you're not one of those people.
No, I mean, honestly, that was another reason I started the Black Authors Association. I'm like, someone shared a lot of information important to me, and that's what I try to do with all the authors. I'm like, it's not about, how much it's going to cost. I'm like, take advantage of this and do this in order to grow, so that way you can do something else and play it forward. So, I tell them when we do something, they're like, oh my goodness, that's all it costs. I'm like, yeah, I'm very cost effective. I think it's not about the money. I want to see you grow. And when you sell those 500 books, say, oh, I remember when Kim told me X, Y, and Z. That'll be the proudest moment. I'll be like a proud mother, like, oh my goodness. So, it's all about sharing. I just want them to grow. I want them to be out there. I want people to read their books. And if I have the information, I'm willing to share it. Most definitely willing to share it.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Now you have, is it three Black bookstores in Philly that I know of? Hakim's, of course. Yes. They one of the oldest in the country. And what's the other one that was on the show? Oh, Harriet's,
yes.
Harriet's Bookshop. And we haven't had Uncle. It's the Uncle one.
Harriet.
Uncle Bobby.
Uncle Bobby. Okay. Yeah,
Uncle Bobby.
Oh, I reached out to him a while back, and so I have to try again sometime.
I need to come out. Y'all got all those bookstores in Philly. I need to take the train up to Philly and come visit these bookstores.
Yeah,
because you're real close where you are.
It's only an hour and a half train ride. I go over there and spend a day with the people.
Yeah.
Come on over.
Well, I always go to Richard's event. He does a very nice independent book festival, and I went last year, which was his first year, and then they did it again this year, and it was a great turnout. And he's very supportive of everybody who attends the event. And so everybody feels like they're leaving with something, and that's good.
And Dr. Tammi commented that she knows Richard. It was just on the show. She knows Richard Ashby. So she commented. So you were right. Everybody knows Richard.
Yeah, he's really a great resource. For me, being a Black librarian and a man at the same time, I'm like, yes, Black librarians,
Mm-hmm.
those are good to see, you know. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and
it's
we were
awesome to know.
Ron and I were in Philly for the Zeta Boulay. That was what year was that? That 2 years
That was
ago?
2022.
Oh,
Mm,
2022. Okay. Yeah, we were there for a week for that. Um,
okay.
and that was very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Rhonda's wearing her Zeta colors. I don't know if she just came from a Zeta event or she just
No,
has a
this is
lot
just
of
what I
blue
wore
and
to
white
work
in her
today.
wardrobe. Because
It's
I
just what I wore to work. That's all.
I know a lot of finer women here in Philadelphia.
They're wonderful women. Yes, indeed.
Yeah, I know a lot of them.
yeah, my daughter's a Zeta too. So
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, and I don't know if I am. Have I told the audience? Did I tell you I'm gonna be a grandma, Rhonda?
No.
I didn't tell you. My daughter got married in June, and yeah, I'm gonna be a grandma. And
Congratulations.
yeah, and she found out today that it's a girl, which is why she don't have.
Oh,
So she was excited about
yay.
that. Yeah, she's showing a little bit. She's skinny, so it's just like a little basketball. Not even a basketball yet, but it's just all baby. So yeah, they're excited. He's actually in Rwanda. He went on like a mission trip with his nonprofit. So he left
Wow.
yesterday, and I think he might be there now. They went through Belgium, and I thought about you,
Oh,
Rhonda, when he said they were gonna stop. They were gonna stop in Belgium. He flew to New Jersey, then from there to Belgium, and so
And
he's
okay.
Belgium's a beautiful country.
yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he's going to be in Rwanda for uh,
Wow.
8 days. So
Wow.
she's staying home with us while he's gone, which is great. So
Wow.
yeah. So
Nice.
anyway, now do you have dues? Is your organization a dues paying organization? Do people pay dues or
Yes. So
okay?
we have two options. We have the Black Authors Association. It is a membership base. So you can join that. Or we have Literacy Moments Magazine, and that's also another organization. That's pretty much where most of the focus of with the magazine. So you can become a member of Literacy Moments. So you have options. The membership fees are very, very friendly. Right now, since I just graduated last Wednesday, um,
Oh,
anyone that signs up,
congratulations.
thank you. Anyone that signs up for on our Facebook page can get a half a page in our end of the year literacy moments issue. That's my thank you for all the authors putting up with me doing my doctoral
Oh,
program.
and that's not an easy process. So thank you all of
No,
the authors who put up with Dr. Kim because it is not easy.
no.
And I tell you, we earned that piece of paper with
Yes,
blood,
yes,
sweat,
I
and
did.
tears.
Yes, I did. So, but yeah, I try to be budget friendly. The memberships last for a year, so whatever date you sign up to that following year. And then there's different things, if you're looking, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for marketing, we help you with that. If you're looking for help with speaking engagements, graphics, it would pretty much tell the package on what you're looking for. And throughout the year, we kind of plug you into things as well. So it's a really all-inclusive membership. But besides being a member, we do post things on a group. It's open to everyone as well.
Okay. Okay. All right. So people join for a year, and I'm actually glad to hear that you do have a membership fee because nothing is free. And a lot of times people in this space that we're in,
Hmm.
people act like we're all paid by some like by the government or some entity
Right.
that's
Oh,
paying us to be available to answer
y'all
questions
gonna
and
stop
give
talking about
advice.
being paid by the government.
Oh, I'm sorry, this is sore spot. But you're essential, right, Rhonda? Okay, she's not gonna say. So no,
What you
I'm
want me
saying,
to say?
aren't you essential?
I am what's called accepted, but yeah, it's basically an essential person. I'm going to work and I'll get paid when we get ready to be paid.
Mhm.
Okay. I thought the essential people were still paid.
No, there's exempt, there's essential, excuse me, there's exempt, there's accepted, and there's furloughed. Exempt
Oh,
is getting
okay.
paid. Accepted is going to work and we'll get paid on the back end.
Oh, wow.
Okay. And the
Furloughed is at home
furlough.
and they'll get paid on the back end. They're
Okay.
non-essential.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yeah.
I am hoping and believing that this will end soon,
Amen.
Mhm.
for everyone involved.
Yes.
People
Yes.
need, people need certainty when it comes to employment. You know,
Yes, they do.
need to be in a people. So,
Mhm.
um, so Kim, what's new on the horizon for the Black Authors Association? What do you need? What do you have some new
Oh,
plans for the
oh
rest of
yeah.
the year 2026?
2026, a couple things we're doing. We are giving Scholastic Bookstore a run for their money. So we're
Ooh.
going to be going around to schools and doing book fairs just with Black and Brown authors. So
You
we're
know,
reaching
that
out
is
to,
Yeah,
so needed.
it is.
we're,
Because I have visited schools that say they wish they
Mhm.
had a
Mhm.
scholastic book event with Black and brown authors because those scholastic events are usually pushing white authors. Nothing wrong with the
Mhm.
books, but
Right.
sometimes kids need to see something that
They do.
reflects them.
They do. And
Mm,
that was part of my doctoral study. Literacy is really not moving. The numbers are not moving in majority of the states. But when a kid sees something that a picture that relates to them, and they get excited, they will open it up. I did a book fair a couple weeks ago, and it was a 6-year-old, picked up the book. And he was thrumming through. It was a black little girl with ponytails. He was excited. He looked up like, and his mother was like, I guess we're taking that book home. I'm like, okay. But he would not put the book down. He just was so excited to see all the colors and all the pictures. But that's what we're doing. We're doing a book fairs, reaching out to different schools to plan those. And then one of the things I am doing here in Philadelphia is I am advocating for the school district to open up school libraries. A lot of our school libraries are closed. So I'm looking to help them reopen school libraries in the Philadelphia area. So that's
you
what we're
mean
doing.
they're closed, like
Like
not
it, for
open for the year?
Yeah, so I did my study on that. So we have like 217 schools here in Philadelphia, and there's 3 libraries that have certified librarians, and maybe 10 libraries that's open with volunteers out of the 217 schools.
Wow.
And it's not just Philadelphia, it's all across the country. A lot of schools do not have school libraries anymore.
Mm.
That's sad.
Or if they
I mean,
do,
I
they're
know a
very
lot of this
small and
stuff
very
is
limited.
digital now, but if you don't have a resource for children to know about books and be exposed to
Mm,
books,
exactly.
not just their textbooks, other
But just
books,
books. Yep.
then how do you expect, some of the stuff that they come up with in this education system is just plain
Mm,
stupid. Like when they took shot out of the schools. I don't know whose
mm,
idea that was, but that was just now it's coming back now.
yep.
People
Yeah, it
realize
is.
those jobs need to be
Need skilled
filled and
workers.
there's no
Mm,
skilled people. But
yeah.
who comes up with this stuff?
Yeah.
Uh, I don't know if it's a committee or just one stupid person. I mean, but that happened,
Yeah.
and then now it's coming back. So,
Hmm.
they haven't lowered the school tax. Uh, if you own a home, your taxes go up. So, what are they doing with the money?
Exactly.
That's what I learned. And they need to do some innovative stuff in the
Yes.
education system. They need to start looking at where the children are and what their needs are,
Hmm.
and
Exactly.
you know, and start doing something different
Hmm.
so these kids can get educated.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, the thing with the libraries, thank goodness I had a library in my high school and my elementary school. So when it came for me to do research in college, I knew how to navigate. But if they don't have the library in the high schools and different schools, when they go into college, they're struggling. Like to write this paper, to do this research, how do I search it online? So, it
Mm-hmm.
all trickles down to other things that they want to do in life. So we need to start early. We need to really start early with the, different systems in place.
Yeah, and it's a lot of information that you can't Google.
Exactly.
Google is not like the history of the whole world. It's
No,
not.
no, it's not.
You know,
It's
so
not.
so I know people kind of think that,
They try.
but no, you have to go off the grid and actually go and look at some either newspapers,
Mm,
magazines, books from the past.
yeah.
It can be
Yep.
microfilm or whatever the form they had, the digital form they have now. But
Mm,
not everything is Google. And Google will eliminate things if they like there's some things that get written that get removed from, like you
yeah.
can't search for them because either
Mm-mm.
they're controversial or whether too political.
Mhm.
So it's a lot that's not there.
Yeah.
So and AI is just basically a
Mm,
collection of Google.
exactly.
Just
Exactly.
quicker. So not everything is there either. So
Mm-mm.
but anyway, Kim, congratulations on
Thank
keeping your.
you.
Now, when did you start? What year did you start the Black Authors Association?
2019.
Okay, so you've been around a good while. And
Yeah. Yep.
congratulations on that. That
Thank
you
you.
stuck to it. You kept it
Yeah.
going, you built it, and you involved a lot of people in what you're passionate.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you so much. Yep.
Well, thanks
So
for being
I
here.
am in the Black Authors Association, at least on the Facebook page. But I would, now that I've learned more about it, I would love to be more involved. So you'll be hearing from me.
Okay. Awesome. Appreciate that.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Hmm. Well, we appreciate you being a guest on the show. And take care.
Thank you. Thank
Okay.
you.
Have a
Have
great
a good
night.
one. Take care.
Too. Okay, so we're bringing on our final guest, and our final guest is no stranger to Black Authors Matter TV. She normally is watching the show, and we've had her on once before for a full interview, but it's been a while,
Hmm.
and she's known as Mama Toni, and her name is Toni Bonita, and she's in Florida. She's based in Florida. She also has her own live called Mama Toni's Book Nook, and there she is with her background there when she comes on and talks about books.
And her millions
And
and millions of books.
I didn't know she was a retired librarian, but that makes sense. So thank you for being a guest again, Mama Toni, on Black Authors Matter TV, and being on the opposite side of the camera, so to speak. Instead of watching you, we're watching you.
Good evening, ladies, and thank you for having me. Thank you
Thank
very
you for
much.
being here.
Nice to be back.
Yeah, and thank you. We met in person in Atlanta at the
Yes,
National Book Club Conference for the
yes.
first time. I don't know. Had you ever met Rhonda?
No,
No,
that's the
but I
first
felt
time.
like we had because we've communicated for so
Oh,
long through
yeah,
the
and I've been on the
show.
show twice.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I would. It was easy to recognize you from a distance.
Yeah.
And Mama Toni did some MC stuff while we were there too when they had the red carpet. So uh, uh, it was
I
really
stay in
great.
my lane. It is not writing. It is not writing.
Now, how many books do you? I know you told me last year how many books you had read, and it was an astronomical number that just put me to shame. But I will, in my defense, you are retired, so you have more reading time. I'm not retired, so and I end up I do try. I'm always reading a book,
Yeah.
but it just, especially like this last month with everything with the book festival, I can't read it. I can't devote as much time to reading. But afterwards, I'll have a break, and then we're going to Austin. I normally when I travel, I take 2, 3 books with me because I am able to really get some reading in when I travel.
I don't leave home without 2 Kindles.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I've always got books with me and they sync together. So if I'm like when we're riding and I'm reading, if
Mhm.
one if it goes to the end, I just pick up the other one and it tells me I had read the page 44 in this one. Would you like to go to that page? And I can just pick up and go right on, plug the other one back in so that it can charge back up and be ready. I don't leave home without a Kindle or a book.
Okay. Now you travel to book events too. So, uh, which ones? I know you go to the book club conference almost every year, if not every year.
Yes. I've been
And
going in.
then,
I've been about 16 of the 21 years.
okay, all right, that's dedication.
It
So,
is.
then the black. Now, are you in Jacksonville or Jacksonville area?
I'm in the Jacksonville area. I live on the Georgia side, but from my driveway to the Florida line is about a 15-minute drive. So I'm right there in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay, okay.
Oh,
So
When I
the
wow.
travel,
Okay.
especially when I fly to Jacksonville because the small
mhm,
town that I in doesn't have an airport. So I fly to Jacksonville. And that's why people always think I live in Jacksonville because
right,
that's where I normally fly out of. But I actually live on the Georgia side.
okay. My sister lived in Jacksonville for 10 years, so I was there quite often.
Yeah,
While
I
she
used
was,
to live in Richmond Hill, right outside of Savannah.
Savannah, okay, yeah.
And
Well,
I
okay,
that's
used to
going in the
fly
opposite
in and out
direction.
of Jacksonville because we like that airport better.
And you make better connections. You don't have
Yep.
to make the many stops when you fly in and out of Jacksonville. And it's worth it to fly in, like to drive that hour and a half to Richmond Hill. It's not bad at all.
Yes. About an
mm,
hour and a half, I think it
Yeah,
was.
about an hour and a half.
mm.
Yeah.
So how many books do you keep track of how many books you read? Like, is it an ongoing tally? So how many have you read for 2025 so far?
For 2025, I have read, I am reading book 130.
Okay, so what's the ad? So we're in the 10th month, that's 13 books a
Yeah.
month.
Give a little, take a little, like,
Hmm.
sometimes you don't get to read as much like when we were at the National Book Club conference. Even though I
Hmm.
had the books with me, I didn't. I went 2 days, where I didn't read. And since we've been back, my husband has some illnesses, so kind of didn't read then because you're concentrating on something else. But
Right.
you know, I average anywhere from 7 to 10 books a month, depending on.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you have a particular genre that you prefer, or you just like good books?
I just like good books. I'm a romance junkie at heart. I'm a
Okay.
diehard romance junkie, but I
Okay.
read across the board. Sci-fi and paranormal are my least favorite genres. If I don't
Okay.
have to read, I won't read those. But mysteries, I love a good mystery.
I love mysteries.
Uh, like I said, romance is my.
Please unlock the device to continue.
I'm not talking to you, Alexa. It's telling me to unlock my device to continue. Um, but I romance junk is my go-to. But I read mysteries. I read the historical romances. The intrigues. You name it, I read it.
Okay. And are you still doing your lives, your book
I'm
nook
still doing
lives?
my lives every morning.
You do them every day?
Lovely.
Monday through Friday, except for the
Oh,
month of December. Now in December, because it's Christmas and the holidays, I do all 31 days every day in December. But the rest of the year,
Oh,
I
oh, I
do
thought you were gonna say you pull back in December, but you
no.
plow forward.
Yeah, because school's out, there are more children at home, there are more children listening, parents. So I do the whole month of December, but the rest of the
oh,
year
well, that makes sense.
I do Monday through Friday, and each day has a theme. Monday is trying a new book or a book that's just released. Also on
Okay.
Tuesday, Wednesday is Children's Day, so it's always a children's book. Thursday is Throwback Thursday, so I go back and pull an old book from 10, 12 years back.
Oh,
And
okay.
then Fridays is what I call pop up. Whatever I grab, that's what I read.
Okay. Now, what made you start doing the lives?
COVID,
Okay.
That'll do it.
COVID.
Okay. You don't need to say anymore. Okay.
You
So
know,
I
That'll
just
do it.
wonder where it emanated from.
from COVID.
Yeah.
We didn't have any events to go to. We couldn't
Right.
go anywhere. We couldn't see the authors. You couldn't
Yeah.
share with anybody what you were reading because you weren't meeting people and talking to them. So I figured there has to be a way to let people know that you're still reading, books are still out there. And even if you can't get to the stores, the brick and mortar stores to buy them, Kindle is still there. There's a Kindle Novella and all those things. So it's still there. And I started off by I would choose one author when I first started. And I would pull, if I had 10 books by that author, I may pull 5 off the shelf. And Monday I would say, Dr. Rhonda Lawson has written the following books. And I would show those books and I wouldn't read. And then one day somebody said to me, Toni, you read in the school system, in the library every day. Why don't you start reading? And then the light bulb came on. So then I started doing the book of the day, give it a theme, and choose that way.
Okay. Well, how many people do you save your shows? Like, are your shows
Yeah.
archived where people can watch them?
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
I normally tag, if I do your book, I will tag you that day so that you know, and then you get to share it
Nice.
with other people, because the people on my page aren't on necessarily on your page, so somebody else will see it, and it gives somebody else a chance to find out about a book.
yeah, well,
That
books are
makes
sold by
sense.
word of mouth.
Yes.
A lot of it's word of mouth. Somebody says this was a great book, or this was a bad book. You know,
But
it
for
can't.
instance, the other week you guys had Lorna Lewis on there, and I had
Yes.
working it. But now her book is what I call a die-hard stay with your book. That was a good book, and I've been telling people about the book. I've done the book on the show. It also got me because that was the first book that I had read by her. But now I've gone back into her back catalog.
Okay.
And currently what I'm reading is she wrote a book entitled Love at HBCUs. This is our time of year. HBCUs everywhere is having homecoming.
Yeah.
So the book for today was Love at HBCUs, because we all celebrating homecoming and going back to homecoming. And it gives us all something to think about. Even if you didn't get back to your homecoming, you think about, wow. Or you go back to when you were there, when you were on campus and what you were doing.
Now her book is the book I'm reading now, but I haven't been able to put as much effort into it because I'm just overwhelmed. But our book club read it, and so we discussed it at our October meeting, and they gave it very high marks.
Yes.
So and it's a really different kind of story.
It's very different, very different kind of story. A shocker from the beginning when you
Yeah.
find out what happened to the end when you find out how it ended, and what it's all the way through. You know, you
Well, I
can't
guess I'm gonna have to check this book out.
Yeah,
It's
I'm only
a
like a
sky
third
full
of
of
the way
love, Dr.
through it.
Rhonda. It's called A Sky Full of Love. It is
Yeah,
really
well, I've
good.
been wanting to read it anyway, just because I love Lorna. But yeah, I'm gonna have to read it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
maybe you
really
can
good.
read it, get really deep into it on your flight here. That'll be a good
Yeah,
time.
that's true. I
Yeah,
mean, but I'm still trying to, there's still a couple of books, featured author books I have to read. So I may have to read it on the
Oh
way
yeah.
back.
on the way back.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
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 That's true.
But
I forgot.
I'm
you
still
will be
trying to get through
shocked.
Kiki Swinson's book.
Okay.
Okay, the Amber Alert or the
No, the
Honey
newer one.
Hunting Ava, I think it is.
Yeah. What is it? Hunting Ava.
Mm-hmm.
You will be shocked, Dr. Rhonda. You'll be asking questions like, why did, yeah. So all those words that we can't say loud,
Right, because we don't want to spoil it. I'm only
they
a
will be
third of the way
popping
through.
out. That's all I'm going to tell you. They will be popping out.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, it is a good book. So now, as an avid reader, do you think do you encounter a lot of the same storylines?
Yes and no. Yes, there's kind of the same storyline, but each author puts his or her own different twist
Yes.
on that storyline.
Okay.
It's a romance, and you know this,
You know how it's gonna end.
happily ever after or happily right
Mhm.
now is going to be the end. But there's a different twist on how they get there. The point of view may come from the protagonist. Yeah. Some of them you have meddling people in them. Some of them they just go through. So it's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. If that makes sense.
Right.
Mhm. It
I
does.
think that's what I kind of appreciate about romance novels. You already know they're going to be together in the end,
Mm-hmm.
and that everybody already knows the formula. But the reason why people love romance novels is because they love the experience. They want to take the journey with you,
Right.
and you can't take that away from them. They get mad if you try to deviate too far away from that formula.
And you know that there's going to be a happily ever. There's going to be a problem. They're going to solve the problem with
Mm-hmm.
or without the help of somebody. Now, is that help going to be good help or is it going to be bad help? Is that mother going to be the mother that you want to strangle, or is she going to be the mother that you wish she was your mother? Is that same thing? Same thing with that father. Is that father going to be the father you was? He is so stupid, or is he going to be the father that? Oh, I wish he could have been my daddy. I wish he could,
Right, right.
And then and then you also have the thing where the couple, you wonder why they not talking to each other. You know, why are they afraid to say, or why are they afraid to speak? But that's life. We Communication is a key, and a lot of times the reason we have problems is because we do not communicate.
Communicate.
That's true. Now, Lorna is watching the show, Lorna Lewis, and she said, "Oh, I'm blushing." She said she was blushing
We
from
didn't
it.
mean to make your head all big, Lorna.
A good book is a good book. And
Yes.
oh, Lydia asked what book were we talking about? I don't know if she meant the book by Lorna Lewis or another one. But she also asked,
We were talking about
yeah,
Lorna's book, A
Sky
Sky
Full of
Full of
Love,
Love.
Lorna by Lorna Lewis. Very, very good, very highly rated. Um, Lydia, she watches the show regularly. She asked, and this is something that people want to know about people who read like dozens of books like this. Do you read every word, or how do you read that many books? That's what Lydia asked.
I read every word.
Mhm.
I read, as my grandmother would say, from kiver to kiver. I'm starting at the front, and when I get through, I'm on the back. I don't read
Okay,
the blurb beforehand. If there's an acknowledgement in here, I'm going to read that.
okay.
I read from, and I get everything. I just finished the book where I heard you guys talking about earlier about finding mistakes that, so, you said you had two editors that had gone over the mistakes.
Mhm.
In one part of the book, the author says that the lady is divorced, and now she's met this new man, and the book's entitled "Finding Love After 70." So now that she's met this man again, then she's telling him about what happened to her after the husband was deceased. Okay, what was it?
You just said that you
Well,
were divorced.
you just talked about being on this page. You're talking about being divorced. So when I sent DM the author and I said I'm confused on this page, this is what you said, and on this page, and she said the same thing you basically said, Gwen. It
Okay.
was edited 3 times. Nobody. She said, Toni,
Nobody found it.
nobody caught that. You know, but for
Those
me,
avid readers will catch stuff.
it was right there. And sometimes when I'm reading, I'll say to my husband, I'll say, "Babe, listen to this. Does this make any sense to you?" And this is what they said beforehand. He just shakes his head. But that's how intense. That's the intensity that I read with, and that's
Okay.
everything that I read. Now,
Mm.
science fiction, fantasy, I may skim it. I may read, and I only read those really when we have two members in our book club who are into, and that's the book that's chosen for the book of the month.
Oh,
I
at
Okay.
just
least you give it a chance.
because I'm a firm believer in I can't join in any part of the discussion, or I don't have any clue what they're talking about if I haven't read something. But I don't
Right.
read those with that kind of intensity. Or I may read the first 3 chapters, like, okay, let me go on back into chapter 8 and get hurry up and get to the end. Yes.
Yeah, well, it's different books for different people.
Yeah.
I don't have I read any science fiction. I don't know if this is sci-fi or not. And you both of you all know about this book because it was talked about at the book club conference. And I just got my copy today, and I didn't know it was going to be like 500 pages. But it's the book. I can't even remember the name of it, but it's Helena Haywood. What was her last name?
The
Was on
girl.
the show last week or 2 weeks ago. She had the book about the death row, the young people on death row.
Yeah.
I actually want to read that story.
So
I have it, but it's kind of to the bottom of my list because it's not one I want to, like I said, I want to read it and I'm going to read it, but
Right.
it's not at the top of my to be read stack. Yeah.
Okay. So it's I'm interested in reading it. And that's kind of like a fantasy. It's not really science fiction, but it's
not really science fiction, but I
no, but it's in like a fantasy genre.
It's in a fantasy genre. It's one, one of those it's one of those subgenres now that they've added to everything. I tell people all the time in 70, 65, 66, 67, when I was in college, you had 4 genres: fiction, nonfiction, biography, and religion. And now every last one of those genres has a subgenre and another subgenre. Because now when you say romance, you got superlative romance, you got contemporary romance, you got historical fiction. So everything now has a genre. It's not just those 4 basic subjects or those 4 basic genres, that he had back in the 60s. And that's good. That's good. But you gotta remember that it's still fiction.
Well,
It's
I kind of want to, I want to read fantasy only because there has been a boom of Black authors writing fantasy fiction, and I want to be able to support them because it takes a specific talent to create the worlds that they're creating. You have to create the world, and then you have to make that world make sense, and then you have to normalize it, and still at the same time tell an intriguing story. And so I'm very interested in how these authors are doing that. So no, fantasy fiction is not my favorite genre, but I'm very excited to see what these authors are doing with this genre.
And I've read a couple. AC Arthur has written a couple, and I've read a couple of those. Again, they were because there was the book chosen. And then I went to one of her events, and that one of the books was supposed to be the book discussion. So I read it, but again, not with the intensity,
Right.
that I would have read anything. But yeah, I've read a couple.
Oh, so by the way, Myra Cook said you were talking about her book, Finding Love After 70. So,
Yes.
She's watching.
Yes, and she's watching.
That's funny. 2 people while watching books that you actually mentioned and talked about. That's funny.
Love, love, love.
Yes, that was Myra's book.
Okay. Finding Love After 70. That's for a specific audience, I would think like a retiree's audience. Kind of, sort of.
Yes and no. Yes and no, because I would think that if you've gotten to that point and you're single, it may give you some clues, it may give you some hints. But if you haven't gotten to that point yet, you know what to look for when you get to that point.
Yeah,
And
my new book is about love after 70. It's about a 70-year-old woman whose daughter secretly puts her on a dating app because she wants her to have a date for New Year's Eve. So it explores her going on these dates with men in their 70s. Some of them still like the younger women. Some of them still think they're 50 or 40, So it was just her different adventures of dating these men. And I wanted to make it a comedy because the whole thing is funny to me. But
well, Rhonda, do you have a copy of your book handy so you can show the audience, since your book is out, And
Well,
she'll have
It's not out yet,
advanced
is it?
copies.
no, it's not out
It's
until
not
the
out
20.
because I pre-ordered it and it hasn't hit my Kindle, so I know it's not.
Okay,
No, it's not
but
out until the 28th, but
Okay,
it
I
is
didn't.
available for pre-order. So thank you, Mama Toni, for
Yeah,
pre-ordering the book.
it's on my pre-order list. Yeah, and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
not out.
I
I was
thought you were
looking
gonna have
around
some
because the
copies
book
at
was
the
in here and then I
festival.
took it out.
Okay, I thought you were gonna have some at the festival. Didn't you
I
say?
am going to have some at the festival.
That means you'll have some available.
Yeah, I'll have some available, but I
Okay.
appreciate the
Do a
people who pre-ordered it.
Yeah,
So this is the book.
surprise swipe right.
Yeah.
surprise! Like, yep. And like I
Mhm.
said, it's on this list right here for pre-order. Oh, it's already been pre-ordered. I'm just waiting on to get my Kindle along with the rest of them.
That's great. So you obviously have a budget for books.
No, I don't. Budget been blown so long ago. budget been shot to the hand.
You just have a love for books. And
Yeah.
and
Books are a
you're the
priority.
people you are people who have a love for books are the people who people like me who write books. We appreciate you.
Yeah. Budget, there's no such thing as a budget. If I've got it and I can get it, I get it. If not, it's on this list I want to buy. I get so,
Save for later. It's on your save for
yes,
later.
it's on the later list. Yeah. And I right here in my notebook, I like what I pre-ordered when they come in, I spec them out, and those that I want, and like, okay, I spend no more money on books this month, but they on the list, and when I can, then I get them.
Okay, somebody said hello from the Bahamas.
Hey, Bahamas.
Hello.
My sister writes fantasy, and it's really intriguing. Loving the show. So
thank you, Sherelle Wallace.
Yeah, we have viewers from all over. Now are you in just one book club? I thought you were in. Are you in more than one book
I'm
club?
in one local book club, but I'm in about 3 online book clubs.
Okay, so that keeps you reading too.
Yes.
Yeah.
If sometimes you like you say you're reading the same, they'll choose a book that you've already read.
Yes.
One of the other book clubs, so you don't have to. Then I do what I call my spot reading, especially depending on how long it's been since I read it. I'll read chapter 1, find me a chapter somewhere in the middle, and then the end, and then read the blurb on the back. So when it comes time to discuss the book, I got enough to be able to join the book discussion.
Yeah, you can refresh your
It's
memory.
Interesting.
Yeah, that's the way I refresh my memory. By reading the first chapter, find a chapter in the middle, reading the last chapter, and the blurb on the back.
That's great. So
I don't reread. There are too many books out there.
I don't either.
Yeah, I can't reread.
I don't read. I do
I don't care
reread.
how much I love the story. I cannot reread.
I don't reread. Now I may continue to talk about a book, but I don't reread.
Right.
Yeah, I've only reread one book that I can recall, and that was In the Wake of the Wind by J. California Cooper. And it was like 10 years later, or maybe even more than that. And it was equally good the second time around.
I think the only thing I can remember rereading was James Baldwin, Another Country. It was required reading when I was in the 12th grade, and in that economics, and I didn't want to read it. I haven't. But years later, as a single mother in Germany, I mean, as a mother in Germany with children, and during the time I was in Germany, there was no American TV. Horst Cartwright was talking in German, and I didn't know what the heck he was saying. So I worked in the library. I worked in the library when I was in Germany. So what did I do? I reread James Baldwin, Another Country. And I have to say, at 25, I enjoyed it and understood it a lot more than I did at 16 in high school.
Right. And that's always the case. Well, Mama Toni, we're at the end of our time. And
thank you for having me,
it's always fascinating.
Always a pleasure.
Because you are so just a wealth of information. And it's like going to the library, ourselves.
Welcome to my library.
Yeah. So we'll see you soon at some book event or somewhere out there. I'm sure we'll run into you again.
I guess I'll see you guys, if not before, definitely at NBCC in July, August.
Right. Yeah, we're going to be there again. So,
All righty.
all right. Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night. Thank you for having me, ladies.
Thank you.
So this is the last show before the National Black Book Festival. We won't be having a show next week because we will both be.
I was about to say, this is the last show of the month.
It is the last show of the month too, because we'll be recuperating from this weekend's event. So we won't have a show next week. Our next show will be November 4th. And before we say goodnight, I wanted to wish a happy birthday to my stepson, Robert Richardson. You see his name.
Happy birthday, Robert.
He does the media management for the show and all of the media work, whatever we need for this show, for the festival, for Kush City, all of it. So happy birthday. I won't tell him how old you are, but
you gonna show us your face for your birthday?
he doesn't show his face, but I don't think so. He didn't even know I was gonna do a shout out. So he probably would say, why did you do that? So anyway, we will see you all hopefully at the National Black Book Festival this weekend, but if not, we'll see you November 4th on another episode of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.